Welcome to MMT Chats. This episode is brought to you by ISCAR with new ideas for machining intelligently.
Let's get into the Tri-State Apprenticeship Program.
JTAP is an intermediary. So we are, as I said, the group sponsor for the Manufacturing Apprenticeship Program. We have 4 occupations that we offer. I'll give you sort of that detail. We have the machinist, machine operator, tool and die maker, which is connected to MoldMaking.
Absolutely.
And industrial maintenance. So what we offer, I think, is something unique because it isn't just sending a person to the state to get involved in an apprenticeship program. We serve as their resource for the entire program. So when we meet with a company, we offer the full circle of benefits to them. So we can help you, do the rapid system to log into the state system. We provide a turnkey training program which uses Tooling U SME, which is the learning management system, and you're familiar with them. And I'm, as I said before, and as you know, the apprentice advisor. So I offer that buffer between the apprentice, the mentor, the company, the rapid system, the state, and help them move along through the program to ensure their success. So I'm their coach.
What is the RAPID program?
RAPIDS is the state system that tracks all of their training. So when they start the program, they're registered through them because it's a state system, and I take care of that for them. So they don't have to use any of their internal resources to do that.
So Stephanie is sort of saying one of the challenges of apprenticeships is its bad reputation, that it's something that the government has created, so it must be fishy. You know what I mean? Employers often have this, what's the catch? So what we're doing, we're trying to change that mindset, saying apprenticeships is just an intentional way of onboarding new hires, where the employer understands what it takes to build the fully qualified professional they want. The hire understands what are the benchmarks that I need to do in order to meet certain things, including that wage increase that Stephanie said. And it becomes less of what I call that sort of the job performance, where what did you do wrong, as opposed to how can I help you grow, and how can, what's the feedback you can give me so that we can improve the culture of our agency. So that's really, if you think about what an apprenticeship is. But let us focus, you, the employer, who already do training, how do we help you do that training better? And we are also, what's unique about JTAP is that we're really responding to the post-COVID recovery. So our program is competency-based, it's on demand, it's online, but at the same time, we've used this COVID time to enter into articulation agreements with our community colleges so that we align the in-person coursework that's available with the online. So an employer doesn't have to choose one or the other, but can say mix and match. I need somebody to come in from a community college because that's where the students are and the future apprentices. Great. They got to a point, I need further training. Well, let me access the JTAP online resources, which right now is Tooling SMU. So there's that piece. So the learning is different because it needs agency. And the agency is the apprentice, the mentor, the employer, and who's orchestrating this is Stephanie, her wonderful guidance. Okay. So this is a different way of learning, and I think manufacturers are finally there. So that's one thing unique that we bring. And our relationship with Tooling U is expanding. So they're looking to use us as sort of the, hey, you handle the apprenticeships, we handle the online. Let's try to convince employers, because it seems that this much more holistic approach is a better way to ensure retention and very good professional development for our staff. The other piece that I saw, so what I just said was really why JEVS Apprenticeship Services, because we help build customized professional development plans. We tailor, the training to the job description.
That's what I was going to ask. How much input does the employer get in that?
How does that happen? Well, Stephanie has a mentor training, and the mentor guides the learning. So we identify, we recognize prior knowledge, give somebody advanced standing in the classroom. We have assessments, And then working with the mentor, we say, hey, what do you need? And they have access to the full course of online classes. So yes, these are the required ones to finish the apprenticeship, but if there's something else, they can access it. So that's the other piece. And then there's the wraparound services. What does the apprentice need? Do they have the digital literacy skills that they need to succeed? That's where also Stephanie comes in. The orientation on using the platform. It's not just, hey, here's your account, go. It's the monthly reminders. Hey, you haven't done this homework and all that. So it's not just what the employer needs, but what are the barriers? What are the obstacles that our apprentices face day to day that then we don't have to blame them? Hey, they didn't do a job well. That's the additional supportive services.
Well, I love that, because that falls into a trend that is happening where employers are learning to treat the whole person.
Depending on what the employer wants, we can say you can buy these services or these other services. When we say buy, it's sort of like, let's figure out what your candidates need. So the intent is that we both work on the supply side and on the demand side. On the supply side, it's really about be conscious of what it takes to put somebody in the path to success, and as much as possible, walk with them to reduce the barriers that impede that learning and that investment from the employer. The other piece is mental health. We do also address that. We have a lot of sort of webinars we offer. I know that we don't have our in-house person, but we're very aware how to give people referrals to all those things. So we have what we call Stephanie is the, essentially the success coach or the apprenticeship advisor. If we do this, then yes, we can tap into a diverse talent pool of candidates. We can carefully recruit. We can rigorously train. We can fully vet for you and support, because that's what I think it takes. And then last thing that we're able to do, because it's a registered apprenticeship program, in the state of Pennsylvania, it automatically is eligible for public funding support. So we can get money for training, we can get money for on-the-job learning subsidies. The employers still have to fill out the applications. We can't just by magic do that. But we reduce what I would say the obstacles to getting it approved as a register approved program. So why is this money important? Well, that might allow the employer to free up the mentor a little bit more so that they're really mentoring. Part of it is getting the employers to think differently.
Yes, that's the challenge. So let me ask you this. When you think about the populations that you work with over the past 6 years, are manufacturers accepting, how is this, are they accepting all these different types of people that they didn't before? Is it happening?
We have employers who I think are there, understand and have adapted, but aren't calling it out and saying, I have somebody with special needs in my workforce. They just accommodate. Part of what I think employers are now needing to do is to make, excuse the language I'm using, to make their jobs very attractive, and part of it, I said to it, you want to make it attractive by also treating people with respect and wanting to be inclusive, but also this idea of dignity about anything you do. We look down on anything that has to do with our hands. I am telling you, the generation that we're at is deep in talent, hugely deep in talent, the new generation, but poor in opportunity. So it's on all of us to create that opportunity. And why do I say deep? Because many of them are seeking the kind of jobs manufacturers have available. We just can't connect them. The manufacturing has also a bad reputation. It's dirty. It's old machines. It's loud. Well, it's cutting edge. It's automated. It's technology.
Exactly.
We look at ourselves as a connector, and also as, schools and employers are stressed. Everybody's being reactive. And we're trying to find the space to say, how do we work together? How do we build the ecosystem that has the infrastructure to support this conversation we're having? Early exploration, early immersion, training to full employment, and this idea that you can have multiple on-ramps and off-ramps where somebody can say, I really like doing this. Now I want to go to college, or I really love this. I'm going to get my industry credentials and make this a career, and not be judgmental. So we wrote a grant with a local high school to create for them a pre-apprenticeship program, articulating with ours, and then connecting them to employers. We understand that early exploration, early exposure is so critical. So we have articulation agreements, our community colleges, with Community College of Philadelphia, with Bucks County, so we can help them recruit what we deem out of school youth. The other piece we're doing is talking to employers, and we just submitted a grant to build an IMT apprenticeship. That's Industrial Manufacturing Technician, which is that entry level. Hey, just understand what the manufacturing process is, and then maybe you can choose, be a production worker, but then at some point it's like specialize. Part of what we're trying to do is that what you said, educate the employer by working with them to build something together. So this is
so
new.
how do you find these employers? How are you finding the companies that are, I can see people coming to you because they need jobs, but what's the other side?
So that's a good question. So luckily, JEVS during COVID, with positioning, what's happening too, let's be honest, employers are needing, and they're like, what can you do for us?
True.
So we have what's called a reentry program at JEVS, focusing solely on helping reentry citizens. And that team has built a good network of employers, what we call reentry friendly employers. So that's why. So we're building to spec. So we're saying, employers, we're going to write this grant, but are you ready to hire? So that's how we're doing it. Post-COVID is going to look different. You have to put training money aside. I don't care what you call it, diversity money, training money, marketing money, but just know that you have to do that, and that they're listening.
What's your definition of a mentor? And does that play into this whole model?
Within a company, you have 4 people who know various parts of that entire machinist program, let's say, for example, and that counts as a mentor.
Got it. Okay, interesting.
And often the mentors that I've worked with over the last 6 years have been either step forward to say they'd like to do that, they'd like to be a mentor to another employee, or they're already supervising. And I often work with people who say, I don't know how to be a mentor, I never did it before. And then I ask them, through some questions, well, do you ever show a person how to use a machine? Have you been working in a supervisory role in some capacity? And they say, yeah, that's what a mentor is.
So let me add to what Stephanie said. So mentor is a subject matter expert, right?
Okay.
And then what we help them is to be really thoughtful about how do you grow somebody who's coming into your company. And so the apprenticeship establishes some competencies in the area. And so we work with the mentor to say, okay, help us track the progress of the apprentice, and then, how do they demonstrate the mastery of these competencies? What else do they need to develop the mastery to the level that you can then feel comfortable that they can do it independently? And then this also is aligned to wage progression. So you have to compensate the apprentice as they reach those things. So the mentor is critical to the professional development of the person, to give feedback to the employer how they're doing, when wage progression can happen. But more importantly, as also Stephanie says, there's unintended consequences. So they would at the end sign off and say, they're done with the apprenticeship. And we as an intermediary do the background work and all that. But what the unanticipated things is we could work with an employer and say, hey, who's ready that you want to test as a supervisor? So this is a way that you're now testing a but if you think about that experience they would have gone, it's a lot more supportive than a different position where they're actually doing something different. It's like catching you on, finding your faults or what you didn't do wrong. So that's one thing. The other piece around this is also what we're trying to build is a culture of learning. So in one company, somebody went through an apprenticeship and now they themselves is a mentor.
The best success story from either one of you that you've seen with an apprentice or company?
The one most recently is, we mentioned the apprentice who became a mentor because we work together. So part of what I do in their time in the apprenticeship program is meet with them. If I find that they're not following up with their work on tooling you, and I send progress reports once a month, I will schedule a meeting with the apprentice and the mentor. So
Yeah.
we have these talks. I mean, I've had this chat with this particular person who graduated and was now a mentor, and he was struggling a little bit because he said, I went through the program, you know, without any problems, but my apprentice, I don't know what's up with him. So we had this like heart to heart,
awesome.
the three of us. I talked to them separately. So I think that hands-on relationship for me, and I'm speaking about my work and what I've done for the last 6 years, I see that as contributing to the 95% retention rate that we've had.
Nice.
We need this bridge between the training and the employer hiring, and we can either help you with the training, but more importantly, we can connect you to training providers and trainees. But we want you to see that hiring somebody is the first initial investment. It's what you do in that first year. That first year is critical.
Yes.
And so that's what I think our differentiators say.
Yeah.
We want to focus on that. Let us be the intermediary on the paperwork, but please use this model because we believe in this model.